Hey guys, I'm Joshua with Think Liberty, and today we're joined by Kory Watkins. Kory is an entrepreneur currently running 3 small businesses. He is heavily entrenched in the Libertarian movement, even winning Texas Activist of the Year in 2014 and helping the charge to change a 146-year-old Texas law that had restrictions on gun ownership. He's the chairman of the Hunt County Libertarian Party, state executive committee member of State Senate District 2, and is currently seeking the Libertarian nomination for governor of Texas. How you doing today, Kory?
Awesome, man, and I really appreciate you having me on the show. I am super excited, and yes, I'm seeking the nomination to be the next governor of Texas, to leave you alone.
Awesome. Well, that's what the Libertarians want to do, right? So let me start off with a little bit about your journey to the Liberty movement and what brought you to where you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I was in late 2011, 2012, I was researching some stuff on the war on drugs, and I've always kind of been outside of the box thinker, a little bit of a rebel, if you will, renegade. And, you know, I was just doing some research, and I started realizing that the war on drugs is a complete and utter failure. And somebody told me to look into Ron Paul and maybe check him out for presidential campaign 2012 because he spoke about the war on drugs. And as soon as I, looked at what Ron Paul had to say, things started coming together and making sense about, what my renegade and my ideology really was. And I started realizing that I just wanted to be left alone. And we are living in modern day slavery. I started trying to get involved as fast as possible. You know, I have 2 kids and a wife, and I just wanted to start making change as fast as possible and getting involved. I feel obligated to do something about it every day, and so I just want to, when I leave here, I want to make sure that I have my kids in a better situation than it is now.
Right. Yeah, it seems wrong. Right. Brought a lot of to the movement, being part of the GOP. So it's pretty funny. I don't think I've had someone that I've interviewed that hasn't brought up Ron Paul as one of their inspirations.
Yeah, no, he definitely changed a lot of hearts and minds, and he is definitely one of my heroes, somebody that I look up to, and I really thank him for waking me up to the ideas of freedom.
Nice. So what made you want to run for governor of Texas? What is your why?
Well, I wanted to have somebody who is a very staunch, hardcore libertarian, somebody that, would get people excited about. And we were asking, people, if they were interested in running and seeing other people's situations, to see if we could get somebody to run. And things weren't just lining up. And so it kind of fell down to where, I have free time, and I'm a firm believer in freedom. My passion goes far and wide, and so a couple people asked me, and we got together and thought about it, and so we built up a team and decided to go with it. Why not right now? Why not 2018? I'm 34 years young. I only live once, and I don't want to waste any time. I just want to attack for the cause of freedom on all fronts.
Nice. I'm also 30, and I'm running for state representative here in Washington in 2018. And I believe it's very important that the Libertarian Party starts focusing on these local and state elections. It's definitely gonna drive the party much further than only focusing on the one big election every 4 years. Have you sought office prior to this?
I have, of course, I'm currently the Hunt County chairman, and I'm serving on the executive committee on the state. I was, when I started getting involved, Ron Paul was a Republican, and I wanted to be a delegate for him and try to figure out how I could help that movement out as fast as possible. And in doing so, I also ran for precinct chair, small local level kind of position, but other than that, I've ran for school board once, and I just basically, I didn't raise any money that time or anything. It was just kind of, I wanted to get the message out that we should end the gun-free zones in my independent school district. And I actually ran against a police officer, and without raising $1 or campaigning or doing anything, I actually only went to one debate, and I got 36% of the vote on just debating that we should end the gun-free zones.
Yeah, that's huge, especially for a libertarian running on the school board, definitely.
Yeah,
So I
absolutely.
understand that you have some passionate views on police brutality. Can you tell us a little bit about how you feel on that issue and what you would do to hold LEOs more accountable in the state of Texas?
Yeah, well, I think to hold them accountable, they should be privatized. You know, I think if people want that service, they should be paying for it themselves individually. You know, if I want to protect myself with a Glock 19 Gen 4, then that's how I choose to do it. And I shouldn't have to pay for something that I don't use. You know, I don't use the police service, and I want to opt out of it. If I could stop paying for it, I would. And I think once you put something out on the free market, I think that will hold it accountable itself. You know, and if people don't like it, or it's not working, or they're abusing or doing wrong, then that service obviously will go away. But it's a mess here in Texas when it comes to police accountability and police brutality. Of course, it's a mess all over the place. And I wasn't really I didn't really discover it. I knew there was issues, but I didn't really discover the full spectrum of it until I started in the open carry movement. And when we were out there on the streets, we were handing out constitutions, we were educating people about the right to defend yourself. And then we had the police officers who you would think would be on your side, were out there actually harassing us and trying to write us tickets and take us to jail for freedom of speech. And so we actually took them to court for that. So we took the city of Arlington to federal court, and we won because they were trying to do that. And so, that's when we started the police accountability cop watches and stuff like that out here in Arlington in the DFW North Texas area.
Nice. So you've been a big part of the cop watch there in Texas then?
Absolutely. I've been a big part of that. Matter of fact, I've done many cop watches at 12, 1 in the morning with my AK-47 and a 40-round magazine.
Can't be mad about that. So healthcare is a huge topic in the news currently, and with the GOP being unable to repeal the ACA, what are your feelings on healthcare, and what solutions would you suggest to fixing the system?
Get government completely out of it. Just get them out of it. I think that if I have some kind of issue that's going on with me and I want to seek out, therapy or some kind of medicine or whatever the case may be, and somebody's providing it, and it's a mutual agreement between two people, then that's it. That's all we need. We don't need government interference. The healthcare system should be 100% on the free market.
Right. So what would you say to the people who argue that 32 million people would die without the ACA?
Well, we've had it. That's false. I don't know. We've been in the era where we haven't had that, and we've been fine. Right. And so, I think that people are they're being manipulated to believe something that is false. And hopefully we can educate people and lead by example and show people that government is actually the problem, and with them we will never find a real solution.
Right. Yeah. We just talked about this on our podcast yesterday. It's people asking for more government to fix a problem that the government has created, and it's just not going to work.
That is insane.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously you're a supporter of the non-aggression principle. What does it mean to you? How would you work that into your campaign and also your time as governor of Texas?
Absolutely. The non-aggression principle has done a total 180 as far as my ideology in handling certain situations, and rather than maybe somebody's saying something and I disagree with them, I try to find a reason to reason with them even better and try to understand where they're coming from and try to get them to understand where I'm coming from. and just, you know, try to seek out love and understanding rather than separating from each other and misunderstanding each other. And then that goes even further into, you know, I understand that people will probably listen to you a little bit better with love and leading by example rather than using force to make somebody do something. So, you know, just like taxation, you know, I believe that if a service is good enough, people are going to voluntarily pay for it. We don't have to force people to pay for something, and it just doesn't, it's not going to work like that.
Right. That actually is, what is your stance on the current tax system of Texas?
We have a huge issue with taxes because at the end of the year, I have to pay a property tax, and then I have to pay an income tax, and then every time I go shopping, I'm paying a sales tax. We are literally getting 50% of our money garnished, and then it's going to this government, you know, mafia-style government, and they're spending it recklessly, and they're liars and they're thieves. And so it's a huge mess here in Texas. The property tax needs to be eliminated immediately, and we need to reduce all taxes down to zero as soon as possible. You know, we are being lied to as far as where the money's going and how it's being handled, and there's going to be nobody that can handle your money better than yourself. That's the sole person that should be able to handle your money is yourself.
Right. So how would you explain that to the normal statist who hasn't woken up to libertarian policies and platforms? How would you go about making that a digestible form for especially Texas, who's very nationalistic? How would you go about that?
Well, I would just try to make them realize that, you know, I mean, before we had taxes, we had, you know, the military, we had police departments, we had fire departments, we had schools, we had all these things that functioned just fine and worked. And we didn't need government to steal money from people and create those kinds of things. And so it's happened before, and it has worked. And I'm a firm believer that I'm just going back to saying the same thing. If a service is good enough, people will pay for it. You know, if it's like FedEx. You know, we don't need USPS. We have, you know, FedEx and other things that are out there. They're privately owned businesses that do the same thing that people pay for. It's a service. It's paid for, and it's provided by a business, not the government.
Right. I actually interviewed Larry Sharp recently, and he had a really good breakdown of the privatization of certain things, and he actually brought up the United States Postal Service as being one of those things where we open up the market for competition, and we got things like UPS and FedEx, and now we could shut down the United States Postal Service, and there's alternatives that people pay for all the time because they're a better service, right? So yeah, it totally makes sense. Obviously, most libertarians are against the bloated and massive failure of the war on drugs. I know you feel this way as well. What are your views on this, and what would you do in the state of Texas to rectify the terrible war on drugs?
Well, I would try to do everything in my power to influence the legislator. I obviously can't write legislation myself, but I would try to influence the legislation as much as possible to make sure that we have pro-freedom bills that come to my desk only, because I'm going to need a whole bunch of ink for all the bills that I'm going to be vetoing that have tyranny written all over them. And you know, like you said, the war on drugs is a complete failure. We live on a border state, which makes it even a bigger issue. You know, all the drugs and stuff coming through the border of Mexico, and the government's controlling all of that. They're the main issue. And so we need to take a big look at what we're doing on our war on drugs here in Texas. And we're way behind on cannabis. We are way behind on cannabis when it comes to medical cannabis and decriminalization and you know, legalization in general. So we got a lot of work to do here in Texas when it comes to personal freedoms like using drugs or cannabis and stuff like that. So we're way behind, but I'm I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that we're only moving in the direction of freedom.
Right. So Texas is really big with the oil industry, correct?
Absolutely.
How would you work with the oil industry as a governor of Texas?
Well, I would try to make sure that the oil companies are as free as possible when it comes to not having to deal with many rules, laws, and regulations. I want businesses to compete as much as possible on the free market. That's how things are going to explode as far as growth. And the more we lay down licensings and rules and regulations and all this stuff, it just puts a really big damper on businesses and even in the employees and stuff like that. So I hope we can start lifting rules, laws, and regulations and putting more ideas out there for businesses that involve the free market.
Sweet. Do you have any other platform principles that you're running on that maybe weren't mentioned in the interview?
Right. We went over taxation, of course, and clearly you can tell that I believe it's 100% theft. And we went over, what do we go over? The war on drugs and cannabis. Those are two of my issues. And then one of my other main issues is guns. Here in Texas, gun freedoms. We are still very far behind in gun freedoms here in Texas, or just the freedom to self-defense in general. September 1st, in 1 month, they'll actually lift the regulations on knives, swords, buoys, and daggers here in Texas. You'll be able to carry them in the public, and you won't be a criminal. So that's a step in the right direction. Now it's time to do the same thing with guns. Here in Texas, I can carry an AK-47 with a 40-round magazine, no license, no problem. But my Glock 19, I have to ask my government for permission. I have to pay a tax, and I have to get my fingers printed, which is a huge violation of my personal property. So I have a big issue with that. I refuse to do it. I won't get a license. So we need to work on gun freedoms here in Texas, and I believe that people should have 100% freedom to defend yourself however you see fit. And there should be no law, rule, or regulation whatsoever. There shouldn't be one.
Right. So your campaign slogan is freedom, innovation. What does this mean for those who may not know who you are?
Right. Well, I think the love is a huge tool that we can use to change the world. I really do. I think using it to change the hearts and the minds of people and how we interact each day with each other and how we think and how we handle certain situations. I think if everybody just inserted love into their daily actions, that we could actually change the world and come up with better solutions. And that also promotes the non-aggression principle, which I love as well. So that's what love means to me. Just changing the world and realizing that we're all different people and we're going to have different views, but at the end of the day, we need to still love each other.
Nice. I think some people might find that a little off-putting coming from a libertarian, as many times we're called selfish and all kinds of different things. So I think it's a really good slogan. What makes you best suited to be the Libertarian nominee for the governor of Texas?
I think that the ideas that we can come up with when I'm governor will be a lot better than anybody on the old party ticket, Democrat, Republican. You're going to get the exact same thing. I mean, come on. I mean, it's not going to change. We have to start doing something different, and that means voting for somebody else. Libertarian. And I believe that I'm a very hardcore libertarian, and when I mean hardcore libertarian, I mean that I am a very principled person, and even if it means that your feelings are going to get hurt, I am okay to stand on my principles and be firm on the ideas of freedom and libertarianism. and tried to educate you with love and understanding to why I have this reasoning, and hopefully to get you to understand it and change your mind. And I believe I'm going to get people excited. I don't want to try to bring in one demographic. I don't want to try to bring in Republicans who are libertarian leaning or Democrats who are libertarian leaning. I want to have a straight message of freedom in its purest form as possible, and that itself will attract people. And that will even attract the 46 to 49% that is continuously sitting on the couch because they can't stand the people that are continuously running. So I think it's time to get people excited and start changing the way that we're doing things, because it ain't working.
Sweet. So what kind of things have you started as far as campaigning? What kind of events have you attended and such?
Right. Well, we've been, I guess about 2 months into it now, maybe a little bit less, but we started out kind of doing a lot of behind the scenes things, gearing up a team, putting people in place, getting social media stuff worked out, filing the TECs, all those, all that behind the scenes stuff at first. And then, the past 2 weeks, we've really started to pick it up. I've been to a couple Libertarian county meetings here in Texas. I've spoke at some of the in a normal event, DFW Normal. Done a couple radio interviews. I think I'm in full campaign mode. I was doing a bunch of stuff earlier today on social media for the campaign, and then I just went to uptown Dallas for some photos and a video shoot. And now I'm here doing an interview with you. And then after this interview, people are going to think I'm crazy. It's 11 o'clock at night, and I have a meeting with some other people about starting a normal chapter here in our own county. So, but we're just trying to promote freedom any way that we can. Sorry, we had a phone card on.
That's all right. So you've talked about Normal several times. Have you done other work with Normal in the past?
Yeah, I've actually, when I was living out in the DFW area, I was a DFW Normal member. I've went to several of their events. I've spoken at one of their huge rallies and some of their other regular meetings. So I've been involved with Normal for, I don't know, maybe not heavily involved by any means, but I've been a huge fan, and I've been involved with them a little bit here and there, maybe for the past 4 or 5 years. So, and I just really wanted to get something out here in our county started, because if not, me and a couple other people, then who's going to do it? Nobody. So we have to get it done, right? So that's what we're doing.
Can you explain for people who may not know?
Yeah, we try to raise awareness for the cannabis reform, really, but the war on drugs, but it's mainly cannabis reform, and just trying to work with our legislators, trying to influence people here in the area to get involved and try to educate people around us why cannabis is actually a good plant, and that we need to study it, research it, and figure out the hundreds and thousands of things that it could do positive for us.
Nice. Well, thanks for coming on. That's pretty much all the questions I have for you. Do you have any websites or Facebook pages or YouTube channels or events coming up that you may want people to know about or come and see you at?
Yeah, to make this real simple, so it's short, you can check out all of that at one place. I got so many events coming up, radio shows, all kinds of stuff. You can check that on the website. If you're looking for my Instagram or my YouTube, Twitter, all that stuff, it's on the website. If you want to donate, it's on the website. So go to KoryWatkins4Texas.com, and that's Kory. So KoryWatkins4Texas.com. And like I said, you can get everything right there on the website, anything that you need. If you have any questions or you want to get involved, there's an email there as well. So email, and I would love any kind of donation. I would love any kind of love and support. We need social media help. So even if you're, in Wisconsin and you're wanting to help, you're excited, well, just reach out to us. We probably can help you. We need some help on social media as well. There's never too much help on social media.
No, you can never. Well, sweet. Thanks a lot, Kory, for coming on the show. And thank you guys for checking us out. Make sure you check us out at Think Liberty on Facebook. Check out the website at think-liberty.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for early releases, exclusive content, and a podcast that we just wrapped up recording. And as always, please check out our sponsor, anarchothreads.com, because if you love liberty so much, you should probably wear it. And thanks again, Kory. We look forward to your campaign in Texas, and we're definitely rooting for you.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate the interview, and hopefully I'll be back in a couple months for an update.
Yeah, absolutely. We look forward to it.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Uh-huh.